This conference will now be recorded.
Hi all, welcome to Online IT Software Solutions. Today I am going to talk about real-time project. Okay, real-time project. So this project is developed using Java and React.js. Okay, so I'll be talking about this project. The first part of the project we need to do local setup. Okay, setup to run this project. Local setup to run this project. Okay, so once we do the local setup for running the project, I will explain about the project in detail. Okay, in detail. So first thing we need to know what are all the things required to set up the project. Okay, things required to prerequisite kind of thing. What things we need to set up this project. Okay, to set up project in our local machine, we want to set up the project. Then what are the things we need? Okay, I'm going to talk about that now. First thing, we need a Java JDK. Java JDK 1.8, or you can say JDK 8 is required at least. JDK 8 version is required. If you don't have JDK 8, you can download it from the Oracle official website and install it, okay, on your Windows machine. Or if you have a greater than 8 version also, it is fine. But minimum JDK 8 is required, okay, to run this project. Okay, and we need Maven tool. Maven. Okay, it is a build tool. Okay, or I can say project management tool. Okay, so I have a separate video created how to set up Maven in Windows. Okay, you can go through that setup and do it on your Windows machine, Windows 10, how you can install Maven. And also I have a detailed tutorial about Maven, so you can go through that as well. Okay, and the third thing we need is MySQL server. MySQL server, we need to download and install MySQL server. So I'll be putting up a video on MySQL server installation setup also in our Windows machine. How can we set up MySQL server, right? So this is backend database for our real-time project. Backend database for our real-time project. Okay. Once you do this these 3 steps, then you can next step you can follow. Okay, you can download our project from the GitHub repository. So this is our GitHub repository where my entire project is there. So I'll provide this GitHub repo URL, clone URL. So you can just clone this project from this GitHub repository, or either you can extract this as a zip file. So I have attached this in an email I have shared with you. So all of you can just go to check your mails and just extract this project. So extract this project and keep it in one folder in your machine. Okay, once you do that, what you can do next step is, you can say extract project or clone from GitHub repo. GitHub repo. Next step you need to do is open any IDE, open any Java development IDE. For example, if you want to open Eclipse, you can use Eclipse or IntelliJ or any IDE, NetBeans, whichever IDE you want to make use of, you can open that IDE. So import this project. Okay, import the Maven project. Next step, import this project. Once you import this project, you can see that project will be in your workspace like this. Okay, this is Eclipse IDE. So you can just go to files and hit import. Then it will give window like this. Currently what you are seeing, you can just say Maven and select existing Maven projects. Okay, and click on next. Go to the browse, and wherever you have extracted or cloned that project, just to select that project. Okay, go to that project workspace and select that project like this. Okay, if you select and if you select this project and click on select folder, it will show the pom.xml file here. So since I have already extracted that, I won't be doing it. Okay, so that is one step you need to do. Once you import that project, click on finish. Okay, it will give you project like this. Okay, once you create the project like this, once you import the project like this, next step we need to do is, okay, we need to next step what we can do. Okay, so next step is open your MySQL Workbench. Okay, once you install MySQL server in your machine, okay, here you'll be getting this MySQL Workbench. Okay, just go to MySQL Workbench, and if you can create one particular, I'll just remove this schema. Okay, once you go to your MySQL Workbench, okay, and hit on right click here and say create schema. Okay, it will ask you for schema name, just provide ERP. Now all small letter. Okay, all small letter, create ERP schema. Click on apply. Okay, once you do this, it will if you go back and see that schema has been created now. Schema has been created, but if you see nothing is there, no tables are there inside that. So this every table, each and every table required for this project will be created by our application itself. We don't have to create that any table or anything. Okay, so now next step what you can do, once you create this schema, I'm putting it into our step. Open MySQL server, MySQL Workbench, and create a schema with name ERP. Okay, all in small letter ERP. Okay, once you do this, come back to your Eclipse. Okay, run the project. Just run the project. Okay, now I'll go back to Eclipse. I will expand this main Java folder. Go to QNX application.java file. Okay, right click on this file and hit run as Java application. Wait for your server to start. Okay, it's going to start a Tomcat server. You can observe the logs here. It is going to start Tomcat server automatically on 8080 port. Okay, so you need to wait until your application is up. So started application, it is in. So if you see this message, then your application has been successfully started. So next step what you can do is, once you start your application, run your project. Okay, now go back to MySQL server, MySQL Workbench, and select these tables and hit refresh. Okay, you can see all the tables required by my application has been successfully created. Okay, I will just go to the users table, and I see no users are there, nothing, no data is available here. So what's the next step I need to do is go back to your Eclipse. Okay, in your Eclipse, you see this main resources folder. Expand this folder. Okay, once you expand this folder, you will be able to see this static folder. So inside this static folder, we have got one file called erp.sql. Okay, I'm just opening this file here. I'm showing it in right side. You can see this file has some insert statements out there, which we need to insert first before starting this application, before working with this application. Okay, so I'll write down the step here. So once you run the project, here by default all tables will be created automatically. All tables will be created automatically, and then come back to your Eclipse and see in Eclipse expand main resources folder. In main resources we see the static folder. Inside this folder we have erp.sql file. Okay, erp.sql file is there. Just take that erp.sql file. erp.sql file, you can copy this file, come back to your workbench, MySQL workbench, and paste this all the statements and select everything and hit run. Click on this run button, execute button. Once you click on the execute button, so automatically you can see all your tables will be filled with some data, like user table and roles table will be filled with some data. Okay, once this much task is done, okay, we'll come back to IDE. Now we can open any browser, open any browser and run http://localhost 8080//login. Okay, this much we can go back to our browser now. Okay, hit we will be able to see your login page of your application. So your application is currently up and running now. Okay, also I have created one user, right? Admin user I have created automatically here. You go back to users table, you can see that admin user is available. So directly you can log in now with this default username, user email ID and password. And password also you can see here. The same password you need to log in. So before all this, so here one more important point I want to tell. Okay, so before running your project, you need to do one particular setup here. What is that setup? Okay. What is that setup? I will be explaining now. Okay, so you see this main resources, we have got this application folder, application.properties file. Okay, I'll open this file. So this is my URL to which is connecting to my database currently. Okay, and here the root will be default username, and while installation you will provide some password. So this password you need to update with whatever the password you have given in your while installing MySQL. Okay, while installing MySQL, whatever the password you are giving, that password needs to be updated in application.properties before starting your project. Then only it can connect to your database, okay, in your local. So I'm just putting that step over here. Okay, before running the project, update the application dot properties file with the password or password given while installing MySQL server. Okay, you will be installing MySQL server. So in step 3, so you will be giving some password here. That same password you need to update in the application.properties file. Okay, once you do that, you can start your application. Okay, now my application is up and running here. My application is up and running. I can log in with the default user created by me. You can log in and admin, hit submit. So I'm able to see the page here, right? So a little bit about I want to talk about this project. So this is ERP project. Okay, first point I want to mention here. Report project. Okay, so domain of this project is ERP. Okay, second thing, domain of this project is ERP. This is three-tier architecture project. What do you mean by three-tier architecture? I want to explain in here. Okay, just opening the Paint. So currently actually this is running as one-tier architecture. Why I'm telling one-tier architecture, I will explain. So three-tier architecture means, assume that to deploy your project, you need a server. Okay, you need a server. To deploy your project, you need server. What all the servers you need? Assume that web server you need. Web server is required. Application server is required. Okay, and also database server is required. Okay, in our case, all these three servers are running on single machine now. That is the reason this architecture is called as one-tier architecture. One-tier architecture. Why? Because my web server is also running on my same machine. My application server is running on same machine. My database server is running on same machine. Now, application server means like Tomcat I spoke, right? Tomcat is an application server. Tomcat acts as both application and web server. Both application and web server, right? In currently, if you see, observe carefully, my Tomcat is running on same machine. My database, MySQL database we are using. So this is also running on same machine. Yeah, that's why I called this architecture as one-tier architecture. So Tomcat server acts as both web server also and application server also. So now how my browser is going to be interacted here. This is my client. Client is nothing but browser client, called client. Now what is the use of this client or browser? If you want to send any request to particular application, you need this browser, right? The browser is responsible to take your request, okay, it will communicate internally using HTTP protocol, okay, hypertext transfer protocol. It is going to be used. So what your client will do, will send one request to your server, okay, any server it can be, it will send one request, okay. So in fact, your server internally will communicate to your application server, database server. If required, it will interact with the database server. It will generate some response, okay. That response will be given back to your client, okay. This is the response. Response will be written from the server. Now all these three servers, everything is running on single machine. So I'll take like this. This is my machine. This is my local machine. Everything is running on same machine. That's why I am calling this architecture as what? One-tier architecture. Okay, one-tier architecture. Then what do you mean by three-tier architecture now? Okay, three-tier architecture I want to explain. Assume that here same way we have web server, we have got application server, we have got DB server. Okay, so this is my web server, application server, and database server. Okay. So all these servers are running on different machines now. Okay, this is running on one machine. I will take it as machine 1. Okay, same way I will take the below application server into one machine. So this is my machine 2. Machine 2. Okay. That last I'm going to take my SQL server database or any database. It can be Oracle, MySQL, MongoDB, DB2, anything. So which is running on different machine 3. Okay. So all those machines are in different environment. Okay. Assume that my application server is in US, okay, and my database server is in India, and my web server can be in any different location. Okay, it does not matter. So internally, all these servers are going to communicate, talk to each other. Okay, so talk to each other, and if required, it will talk to your the application server. Will talk to your database. Okay, for example, I am requesting login page here using my client. Okay, login page. Okay, client is requesting login page. The browser, it can be any browser, Chrome, Firefox, IE, anything, Safari. Okay, all these browsers are called as client, and these servers will be installed in different machine. Okay, this is the reason. So since this is installed in different machine, you can expect like quick response from the quick response from your server side. So if all these machines are running, all these servers are running on single machine, the load will be more on the machine. Assume that the number of users requesting for web pages or requesting for the application is more. Let's say like 1 lakh users are hitting this request. They are trying to communicate. Okay, so internally these also will communicate to each other in the same machine. Okay, but here response time will be, we cannot expect that response time quickly. So to improve this response time, okay, response time. So what is response time now? Assume that request has been sent to the server. So it will validate whether that request is correct request or not. It will forward that request to application server. Application server will validate, and if required, it will talk to the database and process that request, generate some HTML or dynamic content, give it back to the web server. Now, web server will respond back to your client, right? So time taken to do all this stuff will be more in one tier architecture. Why? Because all these three servers are running on a single platform, single machine. Okay, currently how we have done setup, right? Same way. But if it is a three-tier architecture, since different machines are different machines are different machines are responsible to perform individual tasks. Okay, now machine one just to serve web server. It has a web server. Some application server is installed in different machine. So similarly, database is installed in different machine. So now this is called as three-tier architecture. Okay, three-tier architecture. Now what will happen? So whenever number of requests are getting increased, so the speed of your web application speed will be high, since the response time is less here. Response time taken to process your request will be less. So first the client will send a request, the same way response will be returned from the server. Okay, so this much about the three-tier architecture. Now coming back to your project, we are discussing about project. Here one more point I want to explain about project. Now I told about the architecture, told about the domain. Okay, now what exactly the project is all about, I want to tell. Okay, now I will just show it diagrammatically here. Okay, assume that there is one government organization is there. Government organization. So this government organization is responsible to provide certifications to the students. Okay, assume that VTU is one university is that. Okay, VTU, so many colleges are registered in VTU. So VTU will provide Bachelor of Engineering degrees in different domains, right? I mean different branches like electronics, computer science, electrical. So many branches are there. So students cannot directly get the certificate. They cannot go to VTU and directly get the certificate, right? They have to join in some college. Okay, complete their course. Okay, 6-month course or 1-year course, whatever the semesters they have. They need to go through the semester scheme. They need to give the exams. Based on your exam results, VTU will provide you certificate, engineering completion certificate. So same way, this organization, okay, will provide some certifications to the students. But the problem here is this organization cannot directly provide certifications to the users. They have all over, let's say all over Karnataka, all over India. They have some centers like this in all cities. Okay. Now these centers are there. In that center 1, I'm taking center 1, center 2, and center 3. Okay, center 2. Like this, n number of centers are there. Okay, not only 3, so many centers are there. So what this government organization has given permissions to the centers to take up the students, train them on the technology or whatever it is, and ask them to take up the examinations. Once the examinations are completed, they need to send back the details of that student to this organization, and this organization will help that students to give the certificates, will distribute the certificates. Like if you compare in the real time, this is our we assume that this is our VTU, this government organization, nothing but VTU, and these centers are nothing but colleges. And here some students will go and register into that college. They will be trained on some subjects in that college. They will be conducted examinations, and examination results will be shared with VTU. VTU will verify that, and based on some conditions, they will provide certifications to the students. Right? Same way, this government organization has many courses. Okay, so this center person can conduct that courses. So, but this center person to center centers, these centers to create conduct this program, okay, or certifications to the students. They want to hire the students from outside. So anyone can come and join like that. They will give some advertisements or something. So here we have got some students assume like this. Okay. So all those students will be coming to these centers. Okay, these centers, and they will register there. They will register there, and internally, these centers will be charging some fees, charging some fees from students. Okay, students, and in fact, the government organization, they have to take the permissions to run these centers. Okay, so they need to take the permissions from this government okay, government organization. So to take up this permission and everything, the government organization is going to charge from centers, charge some amount they need to pay, charge from centers. Okay, so like they can pay 30,000, 30,000, 50,000. Okay, any amount, 10,000, 20, some amount they have to pay, or some validity will be provided to these centers. Up to 1 year they can run, or 2 years they can run, 6 months they can run their center. Again, once this amount is paid, okay, now what happens? Assume that this student is going to complete the course. Assume that the Java course is completed by this student. Okay, what next they need to do? They have to request the government organization to provide certificate to this student, Java certification to the student. This center person is going to ask to the government organization. So internally, government organization, what it will do? It will provide the certificate to the student, but internally it will deduct some 3,000 rupees, okay, from the given amount, paid amount. Assume that the center has paid 10,000 rupees, 3,000 rupees will be deducted from there, and they will give the certificate to this student, okay, based on his score and based on his performance. Okay, they will be providing that certification. And this certification, we can make use of that certification for his job searching or anything like that. Okay. So this is actually high level. I have explained the project, and also this center person can request this organization. Okay, for how much amount he will be having, that many times he can request. Okay, within the period of time, let's say now center one has paid 10,000 to the or government organization, and he can with 3,000 amount he can, let's say, request for 3 students certification. If you want to request again for 4th student, he has to pay some amount. 4th student, this center should pay some amount. Okay, the student should pay some amount. And next point here, some validity will be there. Assume that he has paid some 10,000. We are giving you like a 6 month validity. 6 month valid. Okay, this amount will be valid for 6 months. Within 6 months, he has to request for certifications. Otherwise, this amount will be deducted by government organizations. Okay, they will just take out that amount. He has to pay again renew the center again. So within the 6 months, if he is not doing, he has to renew the by paying some amount again to the government organization. Okay, this is on project side, how the project works internally. Okay, now let us see it practically. Once you log in as admin, so we have got 3 types of user here. Okay, 3 types of users. Who are all there? Admin is there, which we have created in the initially when we did the project setup, and center person can also log in. Centers can log in, and we have another type of user called unique. Okay, like this, 3 users are there. So this type of users are, these users are government organization users. These are, and we have normal one admin is there, and an n number of centers we can create. One center will have one user. Okay, like this, one user. So now let us go back to application. So we have 3 types of user. Admin is already created, and we need to create 2 types of users now. Okay, first we will see center. Okay, how to create center user. So when I log in as admin, go to home, you can see that here count of the centers it is showing all over Karnataka or all over India. How many centers we have? All over, what are the payments? Number of payments received from the centers. Like a center 1, center 2, center 3, I'm creating. They need to pay some amount to the organization, right? So now this government user and the centers can both of them can use this application. Okay, so now everything is 0 here because we don't have any data yet. First thing I'm going to check here, one user is there. Okay, I need to first go and register the center first here. I go here, center. I'm just taking the center user. I will take, okay, center user and some password. And take some password. Hit register. So user has registered successfully. Okay, and some government organization, if you want to create this government organization org user you want to create, you can use this. Okay, I will take like this, GOET user at gmail.com. Okay, and his password we need to put here. Okay, we'll register like this. Okay, here the government org person we can register. Here center person we can register. Okay, so if you go back to users, now 2 users we can see. And when we log in as admin, all the users it will show. Now we are able to see 2 users. Okay, now we'll log in as this government org user. Okay, government organization user logged in. So if you go to register, we are able to see only one particular type of registration here. He can only register centers. Can register only centers. Okay. Now if you go to users, okay, he can also see all the users. Who are all the users we have? But if you log in as center, okay, 1 minute. Okay, I'll just log in as admin. Okay, we copy the mail ID. Okay, now I can log in here. Okay, 1 minute. I'm putting some wrong data. let us check what password I gave in the for center. Okay, for center I have given center as password. Okay, give center user enter as password. Okay, now we are able to see the center here. We are able to see the center. Okay, so here admin. Okay, what admin will have access? I am going to explain. Okay, so admin person or this government org person can check a home page. Check home page, like how many centers we have, count of how many centers, what are the payments we have received, how many students have inquired, all the data we can check in home page. Okay, and but center user, so before going to center user, I'll explain in detail about admin or government user. So admin user can register center user, and admin also can create centers. Okay, we can create centers. Okay, and we can add course names, courses. Can add courses. Okay, but he is not allowed to add this inquiry, batch, students, and certifications. Okay, all this will be done by center people. Okay, so that's the reason he can just view the data inside this, or he can approve the certifications, but he cannot add anything here. Okay, he can also add payments. Okay, this many operations he can do, the admin or government or user. But center user, what center user can do now? Center user able to add inquiry. Assume that some new, some student is going asking for some course, he can add it inside the inquiry. Okay, if he has that course or not, like some details he can add about that student. And also he can add a student itself, like if the student has registered into his organization, he paid the amount for some course, his details he can add here in students. And also he can add batch details. The batch details he can add, he's going to create batch 1, batch 2, like that. Let's say 3-month course, certification course, or 6-month course is there. Okay, he will be taken some amount from the student, and he'll be creating one batch for that student, which batch that student belongs to. Okay, once this batch completes, he will be able to request for certifications. Okay, so he'll be add inquiry for student. Okay, add the student details, who have taken course, and he can request for certifications. Okay, these many things he can do. So before doing this, we need to create center first for that student. Okay, I'm going to open one more browser. Here I will log in as admin. Okay, local host 8080 // login. Okay, here I will log in as admin at gmail.com and admin. Okay, logged in as admin. We go to centers, nothing is there. Okay, but I have some users. But here the center person is logged in, but he is not able to see any data. Okay, So what I can do now, first need to create one center. So log in here, just log out. Yeah, I'm going to create as admin I have logged in, then create a center. But if you log in as a center user, you don't have option to create that center, right? Will not be having the option. This add option will not show when you log in as center. So first let me just create center here. I want this center name to be center, or I can say temp center, and some mobile number I need to give. The city I have to provide, which city this center is in. And here it will show all the users, whatever the center users I have admin have created, that user it will show. You can select this center user and hit submit. It says center added successfully. Now go back to your browser and refresh. You'll be able to see the center here, right? Now if this center user can log in, center user and log in like this. Okay, he will be able to see his own center which is created, but it is not yet approved. Its status is new, not yet approved. He cannot approve that. So who can approve this? Admin or government org user can approve this. Okay. So first thing, let us see. Now this center person also can add this courses. Okay. If I go to center, that add option is not there, right? Because I have logged in as center user. But if you log in as admin, you can see that add center option is available. Okay. So admin is going to create only one user per one center. Now I am going to add some courses here. I have logged in as center user. Can add. Okay. I want to add a Java course. Okay. And I'll refresh this again. And I want to add Python also. Okay. And I want to add Selenium. Okay. All these courses I have added. Come back to this courses page. Just refresh this page. You'll be able to see all the courses. So you can delete these courses. Okay. Now I'll just create one more course. I'll say React course. Okay. The course got added. You can delete this. Okay, it's gone from the page if you see. Okay, like this I can delete that course. Now once you added a course, assume that some student is inquired about some course. Student got inquired about some course. So as a center user, I'm going to add that student details here. Student name you need to add. I'm taking student ENQ just to say that it is an inquiry. I have taken name like this. So whatever the name of the student, we need to provide here. And we can take some email ID and put some mobile number. I can take up multiple courses. We can inquire for multiple courses. I'm just taking multiple courses. Okay, when I hit submit, it is saying this center is not approved. So this center is not approved. You cannot add any data into it. So for this reason, you need the center to be approved. So go back, log in where you logged in as admin. Just hit on approve button. Okay. Now it is saying updated. Just refresh. You will be able to see approved status. Okay. And when you come back as a center, okay, go to your center. Need to log in once again. Okay. center user, center. Just a minute, center user and center. I think this is wrong. Okay. Here I can see that center ID is not updating properly. So there is some defect is there in this. Okay. So what I can do here is we can just say this center user is. I need to go back to users first. Okay, I can see that user ID here, user ID. So our center user ID is 2, right? I will just update our center manually here. I think 2. Okay, that is a bug. We need to fix that bug. So once I fix that bug, I will put it onto the GitHub page again. Okay. So you guys can download again, update that project, take a fresh pull from the project, and you can again start working on that. Okay. So now I updated the table. I need to save. I'll just write a query to update. Enter, set user ID to where ID is equal to 1. Okay. And it's not updating in a minute. I have closed all the script files. Okay, I will open one. Try to update here. Update center set user underscore ID equal to 2, where ID is equal to 1. Okay, now it is script has ran successfully. Okay, now if I query, I should be able to see this data. Okay, now if I go back to my browser, go back to login. Okay, and take this username and password with user. So you should be able to see that center has been approved successfully. Okay, now you can add the inquiry. You go back to inquiry. Same student ENQ. I want to use inquiry name and sorry, this mobile number I need to put here. Mobile number I gave. And here you can request for. So I think 1 minute. I'm going to just check if I have the data inside my inquiry. Okay, I don't have anything. I'll just add one. Student ENQ. Okay, email ID I want. Take some mail ID, put some mobile number. Okay, I want to request for Java, Python, all 3 courses he has inquired. I hit submit. Okay, inquiry added successfully. If I click on this add inquiry button, that form will be closed. Just to refresh the page, you will be able to see the data. So it is showing 3 times here because each course, one inquiry will be added. Okay, each course, one inquiry will be added. You can delete that inquiry from here. If you don't want to delete, saying the course associated will be deleted. Means it is saying this Python course from the courses also gets deleted. Okay, I hit OK. So it is saying deleted successfully. So all the courses and everything it deleted. Okay. So it is also another issue in the application. It should delete only one course. Okay, I will add again the courses. Selenium. Okay, and Python. I'll go back to inquiry, add inquiry, student inquiry, put mail ID and number. Okay, and again I'm going to add Selenium Java, Selenium DR. Okay, if you hit P, it will show the list of the courses we have. You can select one. Hit okay. Now it is showing the inquiry added successfully and which center it has been added and Python course, React course who has inquired. All these details will be there, student details. Okay. Now what I can do is I need to create students next. Assume that one student has taken up some course. So I want to capture the student detail. Student 1 took the course. So I will just say student last name, ALM, something like this, student last name. And gender I am going to select. Then select some mail ID, select some mobile number. Okay. Then some address I need to put, exact address what that student has. We need to fill here. Just give some test data currently. Some dummy data I'm putting. Okay, his pin code and his city need to mention. If you hit submit, the student details will be saved successfully. Okay, if you hit OK and then just refresh this page, be able to see the student details. Okay, now I can delete this student. This student will be deleted permanently. Okay. Now it is gone from here. Okay, but I want to add that student. I need the student because I'm going to create one batch using the same student. Okay. Okay, all this data, it has taken some data. Take like this, address 2. Hit submit. The student got added successfully now. Just refresh this page. You can see the student. Okay, now come back to batch. I want to create one batch. We go to list batch, nothing is the batches. We need to add some data. Okay, I can take batch 1. Batch 1 is my batch name. And what is the start of a batch when the batch is going to be ended? That's the detail I am putting here. Which course is requested for, which course the batch is going to be starting for React course. And what are the students? If you want, you can add multiple students. You can remove that student if you don't want. I'm just adding one student currently. Okay. Now hit submit. Batch added successfully. Now click on this batch list. Okay, currently it is not showing up some data. Okay, this batch, whatever we created, let us check if it's there in the backend. Batch. This one data is there. Okay, but still we're not able to see that batch list. Okay, this is another issue is there. Okay, we need to. Once I fix this, I will same way. I'll push the code. Okay, whatever the errors we are seeing, we'll just correct it. Okay, but batch list it will show here, like batch name, student who has registered, what course he has taken, okay, start date, end date, everything it will show. Okay, now what I will do is, the student is there anyway. Okay, now I can request some certification for this student. Assume that this student completed the course. Okay, I can request for certification. Okay, so before requesting for certification, I don't have any payments. This center does not pay any amount to the organization. Okay, they have to pay that amount, right? If they need certification, they have to pay that amount. So that's the reason where I have logged in as admin, I will go here. Yeah, I will add some payments to that student. Okay, the UI is coming very weird here. So let me just open this in Chrome only. Okay, I'll take one more browser. Localhost utility login. Okay, go to payments. I can see now properly it is coming in Chrome. Okay, this is my center name. I'll select this center. I will put some 10,000 amount. 10,000 amount he has paid. Okay, and I will give him like some timeline. Say May 31st till May 31st. I can give him the deadlines. Okay, to request for certification. I'll just submit. Payment added successfully. You can see the data. For refresh, I'm able to see that 10,000 amount is paid by center. Okay, if I go to home page, you can see how many centers we have. One center currently, one inquiry is there, and we have one batch also. But it's not showing up, just not showing up in the UI, but it is there in the backend. Okay, one batch is there, and one payment we have added. One student is there. Certification is still 0. Okay, now that the center user should request for certification. Okay, what I will do is I will go back to the center user. Okay, I will go to the certifications. Now it is showing as admin login. I'll just close this browser. I'll log out. Okay, login as center user. Okay, center user. Password is center. I have taken center. I logged in. Now you can see his payments also. So he has added some payments, right? So he can see that payments. Now if you go back to certification, he can request for the student. He wants React course he has completed. Please provide him certification. Like that, I am requesting to the government organization. Okay. Now if I submit, so certification added, waiting for approval. It is saying. Now you can see here, it is waiting for approval. Okay, it's currently in new status, waiting for approval. Now, who can approve this certification? Either government user or that admin person has to approve. Okay, so you can delete that this if you don't want to it to be approved. Okay, you can immediately delete that. Okay, now we will log in as admin. We will approve this certificate. Again, I have need to log in as admin. Okay, I logged in as admin now. So go to certifications. One request is there from temp center. Okay, one student they are requesting for React course certification. Okay, if I approve now, the whatever the payment amount is, the 10,000, 3,000 will be deducted from here. Okay, currently it is not yet deducted when the status, the certification is not yet approved. So in the backend, they will check marks, student marks, and what is the status of the student. Everything will be verified. and the approval will be provided. So certification got approved. Once the certification got approved, we cannot do anything. Okay. Once it is approved, the certification will be provided directly to the student from the organization end. But if I go back to center, okay, center user, enter, then go back. If you see center user, now he cannot delete also because your certification has been approved by government organization. And also the amount got deducted. 3,000 amount has been deducted. It is showing 7,000 amount here. 7,000 amount here. Okay. Now if I log out, go to admin user, login as admin user, go to payments. You can see that 3,000 rupees has been deducted. Okay. So one more time we will do this. Okay, we will log in as a center user and go to certifications. Okay, now one more course I will request, say Selenium or Python certification. He wants Python certification. Okay, now immediately he can delete that if you don't want. Okay, once approved, he cannot do anything. Okay, once approved, he cannot change anything here. Okay, now what he is expecting. So this certification should be approved by admin now. So I'll log out and log in as admin. Okay, now we can see that one more request is there for Python course. Okay, same student we need to provide. Okay, I will hit on approve. Okay, my the status got changed from approved. Now if you go to the payments, you can see from 7,000 again 4,000 amount got deducted. Okay, now I will log in as center again, center user. If you go to certifications, you can see that current status is approved for this student. You see the amount, it got deducted once again. Okay, like this, this application will work. Okay, thank you so much for attending this session. If you have any queries, please post it on to the comment section below. Okay, thank you very much.